Welcome to part 2 of my Spider-Man 2 no web swinging challenge. If you missed the previous part, then I recommend checking it out just for context on this video. But to just recap, we just can't web swing. That's about it. After part 1, we are now armed with the Symbiote suit and are tasked with tracking down Kraven to cure the lizard. After searching a few hunter bases and making some minor adjustments to this poor soul's vertebrae,
Help me.
we crash a party. You know the drill by now. We got our ass kicked, smack a mini-boss, grab the serum from Kraven, and look edgy in the rain. Subsequently, we are tasked with running the serum over to the Emily May Foundation, where we are greeted by even more hunters, and another mini-boss. What are you expecting? Some sort of unbearable pun? The Foundation goes boom, and once again we are met with Goblin Man.
Your mother.
We are then met with our very first roadblock of this video, attempting to catch a hunter drone without swinging. Well, it's pretty easy to do without web swinging actually. The challenge comes from not using the web wings. Catching this drone is just impossible to do without the web wings. It can't be done. Showing that web wings is a requirement to complete this game and not web swinging kind of goes to show just how obsolete web swinging is and how kind of obsolete this challenge has become. Once that is said and done, it's back to Peter. We jump through New York, take a few touristy photos, and head into Dr. Connor's house, where I utilise my amazing speedrunning skills to guess a door code before getting gaslit by Spider-Man.
You have no idea.
A few grievous bodily injuries later, we track down the lizard. This is the part of the challenge where not being able to swing actually becomes a major issue. You see these cranes? They're all lined up with the intention of being able to swing off them, but we can't be doing that. So instead of web swinging, I try my luck at using point launchers. I thought these would work and give me some more speed, but it just doesn't give me enough momentum. Luckily for me, when you catch up to a speedboat and take out the hunters on it, it gives you almost a boost so you can keep up your momentum and get to the next one as quickly as possible. So if I make use of this momentum, it should make this mission easy, right? Well, no. On my first time trying to use this momentum, I get slingshotted into another dimension. So, I had another idea. I was going to make use of my skill points and invest them into a spider jump and a spider dash. And this will be the smartest thing I've done in this whole challenge. The only issue with this is that they both have a really long recharge time that I can't quite lower just yet, so I have to use these abilities very wisely. I can't even go on land because Miles seems to be allergic to the sheer thought of touching grass. Many hours of spider dashing and spider jumping later, I finally keep up enough momentum to take out each speedboat one at a time and slingshot myself from one to the other, to which I have to use the web wings in between because it's just impossible to do without the web wings. And then we switch to Peter and we need to take out a helicopter, which turns out to be surprisingly easy. I thought it would be a lot harder to get to this helicopter considering how long it took me to get those speedboats. The rest of the mission is pretty much a breeze, but I'm still amazed at the sheer scale of this game sometimes. Get it? Scale? Because he's a lizard. Next up, we gotta walk to the lizard's lab. After a long, treacherous walk, we enter, we find him, we scrap him, and then we chase him down the city at extremely slow speeds. You know, in these parts it probably would have been a wise idea to use the web wing some more, but once again, I'm stubborn, so no. After a couple of failed attempts, we finally catch up to Connors, and we ride him. After getting through to him with a calm and composed conversation,
No wonder your family left you.
we stab him in the mouth, and he's finally cured. But the suit still stays on Peter, and he's still a bit of a knob. On the way to the next mission, I discover an even faster way of transporting myself around the map between missions. I'm honestly surprised I didn't think of this sooner, but getting on top of the subway trains and just kind of standing there is probably just as fast as web swinging. After I caught the subway home, we have to go to sleep, and I have to save a sleepwalking Peter from the hunters. Since this is another MJ mission, I just run through it as fast as possible until I play as Miles, where I die about 7 times. A short symbiote chase later, Peter wakes up on the streets of New York and has another calm and composed conversation with the Goblin family.
Why don't you pop some more pills and say what you're really feeling?
Hey!
Now it's time for another Miles mission, where we meet the local dealer and have a scrap with him. This mission actually posed a little bit of a challenge because once again, this is one of those missions that require you to web swing through, but it's a good thing that there are buildings in Miles' nightmares, or else there's no way I'd be able to get through here. Some psychological damage later, Miles throws Mr. Dealer up to the heavens to find Bully Lowenthal. After finding Bully Lowenthal,
They destroyed the EMF.
we walk all the way to where Miles is being kept, and he decides to flex his voice acting talent on all of us.
Where?
If this man does not win Best Voice Actor of the Year at the Game Awards, I will be thoroughly gutted. We then encounter Kraven, which turns out to be a relatively simple boss fight, only took a couple of tries. Once defeated, we have to fight Bully Lowenthal himself, who once again flexes his voice acting talent on us.
All I wanted was to save everyone!
After tearing the symbiote off, we run it down to Oscorp Tower where we meet Harold once again. Harold then resumes his tentacle fetish. This part of the game is actually pretty badass. You just play as Venom running around throwing people around. There's nothing difficult in terms of the challenge, although I did learn that Venom aspires to be a chiropractor. I suppose now's a good time to talk about the game's story. My favourite part of this game, other than the whole traversal system which I can't use, is probably Kraven and how it handles the villains. I'm so excited to see how they handle his character in upcoming games. After Kraven gets the Bite of 87 treatment, we have to run to the boatyard to get some sounds to defeat the symbiotes that are spreading around the city. Then we are introduced to another type of side mission, which I completely ignore to run back home. Once home, we find Harold there. He says the thing, and we have a domestic with MJ on the streets who has become the symbiote Scream. This is actually one of the hardest fights in the game in my opinion. She just moves really quick and it's quite difficult. It kicked my ass a good few times. Once the domestic is said and done, we're off to City Hall to find Miles. We fight off some goopy goobers, get overwhelmed, and once again we are saved by the local plug. After diving into Peter's traumatised head to clear the remaining symbiote left, we fight off some sleep paralysis demons and head to May's house where we find Peter crying.
This is all my fault.
This game is really sad, man. No matter how many times I play through it, it's just really sad. Once the symbiote is completely out of Peter, he transforms into Anti-Venom. Wearing the suit makes it feel like Peter Parker's coming inside me. After freeing City Hall, we run to meet Venom and Goblin Sr. in the underground lab,
Your mother.
where Venom grabs his little meteorite that he came here in and proceeds to jump away. We are then told we need to kill Harry. Miles then cosplays as a trainer,
What the fuck are you wearing?
and we then find where the rock is being held, underground. It's at this point where I truly discover how little this game was designed for walking around. These tendrils are everywhere, and are constantly in my way when I'm trying to get around the city. I keep having to run and jump over them, and it causes me to swing when I try to avoid them. So it's just causing me even more pain than usual now having to walk around the city. At least it'll be over soon. It's time for the final mission. We decide to run home and devise a plan to stop Venom and Goblin Jr. The first part of this mission is an MJ section, which I just speed run through. It's relatively easy, but I gotta say, these MJ missions are a lot more fun than the first game. The next part is a little more tricky though, but don't worry, it's only tricky because I suck and I keep getting my ass kicked. The only part of this phase of the fight that caused any trouble was this little move that Venom does in the middle of the arena that causes the ground to, like, grab at you. But it's a good thing that there's 2 other arenas in this massive area that I can just go to. Still died a couple of times, though. After the tussle, we get flown to the Emily May Foundation, where Miles does, once again, another useless backflip. We then fight Venom for the final time, but this time, he has wings. Not web swinging pretty much has made little difference to this final fight, which, to be honest, is kind of disappointing. I was expecting a climactic finale to this series, but what can you do? I suppose web swinging wasn't in this game's design philosophy as much as the first since the web wings have been added. I suppose it makes for a fitting ending to this challenge, since, like my sanity, it hasn't ended with a bang, but a small cry and whimper. We kick Venom's ass, blow up the rock, game end Harry, revive Harry, get him to a hospital, meet the Goblin Man, tease the sequel,
What do you want?
Your mother.
and then it's all over. So, is it actually possible to beat Spider-Man 2 without web swinging? Yes, it is. This game was clearly designed with the web wings in mind more than web swinging, so it was hardly ever a requirement other than the few times where I had to think to get around the limitations of not being able to web swing. I really enjoyed this challenge, so I'm thinking of doing more challenges on other games in the future. You're all gonna love what I've got planned next, I'm telling you. All I can give you right now is a little hint. It's to do with feet. Thank you guys for all the support on this series. It really means a lot to me that you all enjoyed it, and I hope you stick around to see what other challenges I've got coming up in the future. I really enjoy making this type of content, and I hope it catches on. Thank you guys, and I'll see you all very soon. Did you know that 99.5% of you aren't subscribed?